Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and I wanted to show you how I make my covers for my journals. I do not like to spend a lot of time on this. I'm a very quick gratification person. So generally anymore, I use product boxes like these. Today I'm going to use this one. It's from a pancake waffle mix. It's exactly the size that I want to use today, but I wanted to show you a couple of other options. So the first thing you want to make sure when you pick a box is that it's going to be big enough for your signature pages. So I'm going to use, this is just a piece of printed digital paper. Let me move this out of the way. And I've folded it in half. I've trimmed all the white off the edges, and you can see that this definitely is going to fit very nicely inside of this cover. I've got a nice width here. I know that a couple of inches or more is what I need. I like to stuff a lot of stuff inside my journals, but sometimes I might want a smaller option. And so I hold on to boxes like this one here, this cornbread box. Now you can see that this box is definitely, it's too small. I'm gonna have a lot of overhang, but what I would do here, because it is wide enough, is I would pick patterned papers like this one where I can just trim them down, or I can fold them up, or I can do things to shorten those pages so that they fit in here and I can make a cute little book. And I am saving this one. This is gonna happen soon, hopefully. But I'm gonna set this one to the side for today because I'm gonna use it for just the right project. Then we have boxes like this cracker box. I used a box exactly like this for my my previous journal, my Magic Forest Fairy journal. This is the box that I used. I covered it with brown packing paper, and I'm going to talk about covers next. So for the purposes of today's video, everything to the side there, we're using the waffle box. So I'm going to go ahead and open this box up. I'm going to pull all of the flaps out, and then I'm going to open it along this seam. I'm going to do this quickly without any sound because it can be a little obnoxious. Okay, so now my box is all open. It's flat. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. You could definitely cut these flaps off with a pair of scissors, but I found I get much better results if I do this with a paper trimmer. You're going to cut off all of these extra flaps, including this one here that's overlapped, so that you are left with just the front, the back, and the spine of the box, or your book, as it were. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim those off really quickly. I'm just using a regular paper trimmer. I can get through 1 or 2 layers at a time. I just keep going back and forth. So let me do that really quickly. All right, I've got my box trimmed down. It's definitely a book shape. I'm gonna double check and make sure, yes, this is exactly the size that I want. This is gonna fit in here really nicely. If you check and it's just a little big, you can trim some off of the edges if you have a larger box. It's not a problem. So let's talk about some of the materials you can use to cover the books. A lot of people decide to use scrapbook paper. These are printed digital papers, and you need 2 sheets to cover a book this size. Overlap them and then just tape them together, or glue them, or however you want to do it. Some people use double-sided tape. Once those are attached together, then you have enough to have an overlap, because this needs to be folded over and to cover your book with. I did this for my Christmas journal. If you look at part 1 video, the part 1 video of my Christmas journal, you can see me do this technique on the cover of the journal. I do use some chipboard for that, or a box that I've cut separate pieces out of, but it's the same basic idea. So the next covering that you could use, and I love this one, this is just brown packing paper from a package that I ordered online. I saved this paper a lot. I did this on the cover of my last journal, my Magic Forest journal. I scrunched this all up, I glued it on. It made for a great brown paper base to start decorating on. But today, I'm gonna do something a little different. All right, so today I'm going to use some fabric. Now, a lot of people sew. I do not sew at all. I do have a sewing machine, And I'm trying to decide if I might add some stitch detail on this later. It just depends on how much effort I want to put in. But I am gonna glue fabric over my cover today. As you can see, this is quite a bit larger. I'm gonna leave it this big so that I don't have to worry about being perfectly straight, and then I'll trim it up afterwards. Now, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to use to glue this fabric on today. I got a new glue stick. I got this Oohoo glue stick, and I wanted to see if it works. And it does work pretty well. This is just like a piece of fabric, and I glued this onto a piece of this box, and it has adhered pretty well. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna work right on this fabric. I'm not too worried about getting glue stick on the fabric. It didn't seem to really soak through terribly or anything like that. I'm just gonna liberally apply this glue stick to the box. I'm gonna try to move pretty quickly. This is a new glue stick for me. I know glue sticks in general do tend to dry pretty quickly, but this one is pretty thick and I like it a lot so far. There we go. Make sure it's all covered all the way to the edges. Go around the edges. Nice. All right, I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna place something heavy on top of it, and then I will be back after this has had a little bit of time to dry. All right, this is dried up really well. I'm happy with how this is sticking to the cardboard. It looks really good. Nice and smooth. So now I'm gonna trim around the edge. I think I wanna leave, like about the width of this ruler, I think this is about 1 inch wide. I'm gonna keep about that all the way around so that I have a nice thick border whenever I fold it over. All right, so I've trimmed it all up, and now I'm gonna trim the corners because we don't want to fold this over and then fold this over and have a bulky corner. So we are just going to kind of nip off an angled, kind of a triangle. You want it to kind of go in and then out again. Leave a little bit right there. If you get too close to the corner, that cardboard is gonna show through. So just repeat that for all 4 corners. I am saving all of these little scraps that are coming off of this because I can use them inside of my journal. I like to have a lot of matchy stuff. Very color coordinated. I'll probably take some of these and like pull the edges and fray them and use them as decoration inside the journal. All right. Next thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna fold these over and glue them down with the Fabri-Tac. Now Fabri-Tac can be, made by Beacon, and it can be a little bit thick. And when you put down beads of it, it sometimes wants to bleed through your fabric or your paper or whatever medium you're using. I try, instead of getting like a really big bead, I kind of squash it out. A lot of people will take and use their finger and kind of run their finger along it to make a nice smooth layer of the glue. I don't really like to do that. It's personal preference. I don't like how it feels. So I'm just going to pull this up, and you'll see some of it is soaking through. A lot of times that'll just go away. We'll see on this one. If it soaks through and it doesn't look good, we'll just cover it up later with some paper or something like that. I'm not too worried about it, but this is why I didn't use the Fabri-Tac on the cover. We're just gonna kind of pull that as tight as we can. There. Smooth it down, and then repeat that on the other 3 sides. Okay, I'm working on the last side, putting my layer of glue on. You want to make sure that you kind of get this angle here where there's a little overlap on the fabric, and then just pull the whole thing up tight and kind of smear that glue evenly underneath. Try to make sure that nothing is buckling and that it's pretty nice and neat. All right, all 4 sides are glued. I'm gonna let that sit for just a minute and set up. Okay, so we've got all our edges glued down. The glue is drying. I've folded it. Everything looks really nice and smooth. I'm very happy with the way this cover is looking. So let's go to the inside. And I need to cover up this brown and hide all these raggedy edges. Now, this is a preference thing. I'm sure you could fray these and do something really cool, or add some trim or something like that and keep this brown cardstock, the cardboard showing. There are no rules to this. But I'm making a Valentine's Day journal with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover the inside with some digital paper that I have printed. And these are this is one sheet, just like this, and I cut it in half. I rounded just the outside corners with my corner rounding punch, added a little purple ink just to zhuzh it up a little bit. And now I'm going to glue these down right here. I'm gonna kind of stay on the outside edges of my crease. I don't wanna put a bunch of things over that. I want it to open and close pretty freely. So I'm gonna use that as a guide to keep everything straight. But I'm gonna stay here because we are going to add some more paper on the inside of this to cover this area. We weren't able to use one sheet of paper because it just wasn't quite big enough. If you have a smaller journal, one sheet of paper will cover the whole inside. Do it. It's so much easier. But with this size of a journal, I'm going to do 2 pieces. So I'm going to cover the back of this with my glue stick, but then I'm also going to put a little bead of Fabri-Tac right around the edge, and that's going to help glue this down really, really well and make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. All right, now I've tried to make this as even as I can across. If it's not perfect, it does not bother me. If you're a perfectionist, you might want to grab a ruler or some other straight edge to kind of make sure everything lines up. But that is it for our inside panels. Now to cover this section here, I would just pick another piece of digital paper that I feel like goes with this, or a piece of fabric or something like that. Let me see what I have laying around. I think I might actually do this today. Now, normally I cut kind of a rectangle of paper and just kind of stick it in there. But really all you're trying to do is cover up that last little bit of brown paper, and I like how that looks. So I'm going to just use my glue stick all over the back. This is a paper doily, and I spritzed it with some gold paint. I was going to put it inside my signatures. I'm going to have to paint another one because I did not expect to be doing this, and now I really like how that looks. So I'm going to glue the back of this and glue that in as kind of my cover for the inside. And yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've hit the edges of this with some purple ink, and now I've flipped it over so that I can put the glue stick on the other side. I've got a piece of scrap paper down here. And I'm just trying to get as much glue on here as I can without getting it all like clogged up in the holes. I didn't want to just glue because this is lacy. I didn't want to just slap a bunch of glue stick down all over the paper. All right, there we go. So hopefully this will work. Setting this up, and this is a really good example of how it's okay to let some of that brown show through. Smooth that down. Getting glue stick all over my fingers. Normally I pick pattern paper and put that inside of here. This was a very spur of the moment decision. You're not going to see the very center of this, but it is going to kind of peek through. Let's see if we can get that nestled down into the creases. You always want to kind of fold and see where it's popping up and then just give it a little press down. You might have to add a little extra glue. It doesn't want to stay put, but this looks like it's doing a pretty good job. All right, I'm pretty happy with how that worked. Not too worried about these couple of little wrinkles. They're gonna be kind of covered up when the signature is put in. This is just gonna peek through, but this is going to show really nicely, and I love how that looks. So here we go, we have a cover. It's ready for me to stick some signatures in. It's ready for some decoration on the outside. I'm looking forward to using this for my Valentine's Day journal, but also I hope this was helpful as kind of a beginner look at how you can make a journal with just some paper and some boxes that you have at home already. You don't need all of this fancy stuff. Just cover the cardboard in literally anything and get started on that journal. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.